Welcome to Let's Talk About It. A podcast gives a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. Please subscribe, like, comment, enjoy this journey, and enjoy this ride. Welcome to this week's episode. Welcome, everybody, to Let's Talk About It. A podcast gives a platform for real talk, real people, real topics, real conversations. Welcome, everybody, to season 2. This is season 2 on my YouTube channel. You can go back on the channel to watch season 1. And the people who are watching right now, please like, subscribe, give a comment. For my new listeners for season 1 on Spotify and Apple, please give me a rating, give me a like, give me a follow. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we doing a little crossover episode, brand for brand. My man Nick, he has his own podcast called Movie AV Impulse. He goes over his channels about movies, new and old, music, and he has a lot of top fives. Right now on his YouTube channel, he's over 9K. He is building. Like, man, he almost passed me now, so he's up there getting big now. He's going to tell his journey. He's going to tell his life, his likes for movies. He's going to describe it to you. He has an interesting way he tells his story through movies. He's like a movie guru. You can see behind him, if you watch on YouTube, he got like a million damn movies, and that's only like a quarter of that shit. Nick, what's going on, my man?
Nothing much, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm chilling, man. First and foremost, man, what's going on with your Saturday so far?
I've actually been editing the video I got coming out tomorrow. It's kind of a funny one. I've always wanted to really do it, but Fast and Furious is like got some of the most unrealistic like stunts. So I kind of go over that and why people don't like other movies that do the same thing that came out, before this movie. So, I kind of just blend things and, I take my editing real serious. So,
Shit, man, I'm
um,
about to hire you to do my shit because I'm tired of doing this. For
yeah,
real.
it gets tiring, but later on I'll probably catch a movie with my little guy and we want to watch that new Transformers 1 movie that came out. So,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
that's usually my weekend editing and then just trying to enjoy family.
Nick, first and foremost, right? First question I gotta ask you, why the title Movie AV Impulse?
Well, the movie part is obvious. The love for movies, especially old school gangster. That's always been my favorite genre since, the beginning of time. And also AV stands for audio video. And impulse is you never know what I'm going to do next. And I really feel like that was something um, that I could do that I won't pigeonhole my channel into one thing. If I talk about music, the fans ain't gonna be like, "Oh, you only do movies. Why you doing music?" So, my wife actually came up with the name. I just thought of the movie part, and I wanted to kind of get something out there. My wife just one day was like, "Well, how about Movie AV Impulse?" And I was like, "Man, that's a good one." So I stuck with it.
Yo, I'm telling you, Nick, man, you give opinions about a lot of movies, right? Before we get into your opinions about movies, like you got to interest in me because you and I were talking on the job one day. You said, right, like, you admired me, how I told my story on my podcast, but you tell it differently. You tell it through movies about your past experiences and stuff like that. Why you tell it through movies? But a matter of fact, how way you tell it through movies? Is it certain movies, certain genres? How do you tell it?
So what I do is it depends on the topic. Really, the series is called Life Lessons. I've only released 5 of them, only because it's kind of hard to talk about your life. A lot of people will get bored with it. So instead of doing something like how you do it, that's why I admire your channels because you don't have to incorporate something. Me, I want to try to keep the audience influence. So I figured if I used a movie that is pretty much based on what the reality of my life was. The reason why I started it is because I see a lot of violence now. I mean, granted, we I grew up in the 90s, 80s baby, grew up in the 90s. And during a teenager, we fought with these, and
Yeah,
nowadays they just shoot you. Um, so, I talked about addiction and, my journey through that. I've talked about, being a hustler. And I figured if I incorporated a movie that was similar and close to my story, it would keep the audience influenced. So that's kind of like where I became, I thought of the idea, the basis behind it. If I could just help one person or give a person an opportunity to reach out to me, because, like when I talked about the addiction one, I
yeah,
used the movie that Leonardo DiCaprio did, Basketball Diaries.
yeah.
Now, a lot of people don't know about that movie. That was in Leo's younger days. But addiction is one of the biggest crisis in our, in the United States right now. I mean, it's everywhere you look. So if I could tell my story and what happened to me down the line, I'm hoping that maybe it could influence somebody to go and get help. I had a best friend that had a pill addiction. And I mean, I tried everything. Dropped him off at rehab a couple times. He told me he was doing it. And the next thing you know, I see him 2 days later. He called me at 2 in the morning to give him a ride to go get something. And after a while, it just started eating at me. And I realized you can't help somebody if they don't want to be helped. And it really broke my heart that I had to like stop talking to him and stop associating with him because he literally told me like he's getting to a point where he's thinking about robbing me.
Whoa,
So I just,
what?
yeah, yeah. He had called me up one day and he's just basically like, I know you haven't talked to me, but I don't want to talk to you anymore. I can't be around you anymore because I'm afraid I'm going to start stealing from you. And, his addiction was getting that strong. So instead of knowing the consequences of what would have happened, he just kind of, cut ties. And the last time I seen him before I moved out to North Carolina, he was literally on the street corner doping out with a sign asking
Uh,
for money.
Bruh, all right, you say you did like 5 episodes already of your life, right?
Yeah.
If you could, besides that one, like tell me another episode, especially the one I don't know if you feel freely about talk about this or not. We
Mhm.
talked about a great movie, and you kind of like related to that. That's Paid in Full.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
right. If you could break that down a little bit, because that was one of the most, to me, it was the most underrated movie out there, especially in Black cinema. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So if you could
Absolutely.
break that down compared to with your life, I don't know how much you want to give or not give,
Yeah,
but
no, no,
like break that down for me.
I'm an open book, man. I mean, if you're gonna judge me, you're gonna judge me whether you see me or you just hear about me. So basically, the two tail, I call it the two tail, but in that movie, it's really three friends. But me and my buddy, back in the day in, mid 90s to late 90s, we were hustling, we sold
Yeah,
weed. And that
yeah,
was like back then, that was taboo. That wasn't you couldn't even like if you got caught with a dime, you was doing 5 years basically. It was insane. So when we took the risk of going out and getting a quarter and then upping to a half and then eventually moving to a pound, it kind of reminded me of the story, the movie Paid in Full. So I took that movie and incorporated it, and I explained right in the beginning the differences. They sold coke, I sold weed. So, there's the difference right there. And instead of having the three friends, it was really only me and my buddy. I didn't really trust anybody else. And, that movie best described our story. And until somebody ratted us out and a cop said that he was going to get me,
yeah,
I I was just like, okay, I'm done. Like once you're on a cop's radar and he threatens you like that, you're done. So the reason why I told that story is because nowadays they're not selling weed anymore or heroin or coke. It's all about pills.
yeah,
And rather than somebody getting caught again, if they could see that and watch that and it could change their life just for that one split second, then give a second thought and actually, go and get a career, then I did my job. Otherwise, to people, it's just entertainment and that's it. And the thing I tell people the most is I have to keep everything 100% because you know you're going to come across old friends eventually one day down the line. They're going to
Yeah.
come across my video and they're going to try everything they can to discredit my story, and I have to
Oh,
keep it authentic.
bruh, hold on a
So,
minute. Let me tell you about this. 'Cause, like, you know, man, I'm about to lose my shit. This is my shit. I can say what I want. But I
yeah,
mean,
go ahead, baby. I mean, we're here.
but listen, man, when I told my story, right? A couple people I didn't know was watching this shit. They was watching it, and they came out of nowhere. Well, that's not how it's happening. This not how it's happening. Why you ain't reference me? Why you ain't say all this? Basically, I told him, Nick, man, maybe you wasn't worth referencing. Maybe you wasn't a big part of my journey. And I say this, and I told all of them the same damn thing. You get your own podcast, you can tell what the fuck you want to tell. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah.
So I don't got time for all that shit. So, like, I know when you do your story, I mean, like, you open yourself up. Like, when you did that, especially all 5 episodes, right? How hard was that for you? Like, to really open yourself up to people you don't even fucking know. I understand you want to help one person, but think about that, man, because it took me. I had to think about this shit. I'm opening up my life that I'm sharing. Well, not everything, but like, how hard was that decision for you to make?
It was actually pretty hard because, like I said, you're always going to get somebody to discredit you or somebody that doesn't understand. Like I said, back in the '90s, you got caught with a bag of weed or a joint. I mean, they was putting you in handcuffs. Nowadays, I bought it off a dispensary and they let
Yeah,
you go, whatever.
yeah,
So, that kind of it's kind of hard to tell my story or involve, like I told a story about my son. Of course I ran it by him, but he's gone through things too, and there are people out there that are suffering with the same thing. So
yeah.
I tried to put the audience in his shoes to really get a glimpse of what he goes through versus what the normal person goes through. So, when I tell these things, it does get difficult, but as long as I got the support of my wife and, my family, like I said, if I could just help one or two people, then I feel like I at least changed somebody's life for the better.
I
It's
like
very
that.
hard to do that. It really is. Like I said, the biggest thing that really hurt me is seeing my best friend, go down the drain like that. And he was so smart, very well educated, graduated college. I mean, he was going to be an accountant, and it just broke my heart that he got into a car accident, got addicted to pills, and he's doping out on a street corner.
Oh,
And it's like that quick, you know when he got into the car accident, I seen him taking them, but he was in pain, legit pain. And after a while, that pain goes away, and you just need it at that point. So, you know, it gets tough, but if you appreciate it, you appreciate it. If you see the realness, then you see it. If you don't like it, move on. That's the only thing I can really say is just to move on. I've had people, I review a movie and people criticize me. So, you're kind of just used to it.
bro, people gonna
Um,
criticize you no matter what you do, especially on podcasting.
Oh yeah.
People criticize me every day. Listen, I don't need no more criticism. I'm my own biggest critic, man. When I look back at the shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I'm editing shit, I'm like, okay, damn, I should have did this. I should have my head this way. I should have never did this way. My sound is fucked up. My audio's fucked. Oh, like I'm already my biggest critic. But listen, what I want to ask you is, right, your love for movies, right? You brung it to your channel, right? I want to go back to your first episode, right? Because I've asked other podcasters that question. When you decide to sit down, I'm gonna do this shit. You flip on that mic, you flip on that camera and shit. You probably got everything in your brain. Walk me through the first time you did it, and did it go the way you thought it was gonna go?
Um, so in the very first one I did, the movie The Sadness, it's a horror movie. Me and my wife really enjoyed it, and I had got this exclusive steel book. So I was kind of like really excited about it. And my wife's like, "Why don't you just sit down and talk about it?" And start a YouTube channel off of it. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So I grabbed my wife's computer chair and rolled up behind my shelves and just started talking. And I talked about the movie. I talked about the Steelbook. There was no editing. It was all raw. I didn't even know how to edit a second of a video. And I remember, looking back on it now, I'm like, oh my God, like, oh man, I shouldn't have said that. Or, so by the second video, I was already learning how to edit because I looked back on that and I was like, oh, I don't ever want to do that again. Like, that was horrible. And as time went on, it got better and better, but it was it was an experience because I was excited about it and I still have the same energy, the same excitement about it than I did when I first started. It was just the love for the movies. Like I said, gangster is my favorite genre. Horror is my third. I love documentaries because I'm an insightful person. I want to know, did this person get into a fight with this person? Like Any Given Sunday, when everybody started talking about the LL Cool J and the
Yeah,
Jamie Foxx fight, that was a real fight. People
yeah, I
didn't know
heard.
that
Yeah,
they were just rolling cameras, but I knew years before that because I watched the documentary on it. So, documentaries to me are just so fascinating on how they started, and you see where they started to how they became millionaires and how they made this movie. How George Lucas made Star Wars is an incredible story, and the things that he had to do and start his own studio because the sound effects weren't right, the visual effects weren't right, and he said, "Screw all of y'all, I'm doing my own shit." And, it was just, I have that kind of passion for it. Am I going to be a millionaire off of YouTube? Hell no. I know people that have over 100,000 subscribers and they still have regular jobs because the income from YouTube doesn't, justify. There's no health insurance in this. There's no benefits. There's no 401k. You do your own taxes. So for me, this is just for fun. And if people want to give thanks or throw $5 or, things like that, become a member, then, I appreciate it. But I know I'm not going to make a living off of this. This is just what I love to do. And I love to share my passion. My other passion is cars, except I don't have the money to go buy a Ferrari and be like, oh, let's do a review on the Ferrari, So,
shit. I gotta disagree, man. You make money. I don't hear that shit.
well, we make money on it's a couple. It's enough to, support the habit. This unfortunately, this is a controlled habit. My wife
Yeah,
puts me in check, so I do love that. When there's too many movies coming in the house, my wife would be like, "All right, let's calm it down for a little bit." So she keeps me level-headed. Same with her makeup. She loves makeup, but when too much starts coming in, I'm like, "Whoa, babe, let's calm this down a little bit."
okay, all
But
right, all right, okay. So you say your wife is your biggest supporter. How much
mhm,
how much input and how much do you take in from your wife's suggestions on your channel?
everything. Um, I if I ask her, unfortunately, she's going to tell me the brutal truth.
Yeah,
And that's one of the things that, we're best friends first, and lovers after, and so on and so
yeah,
forth. Um, so when I ask her something, I know I'm going to get the truth. And I'll be like, hey, you think I should do this video? And she'll be like, probably not the time. It's, too much of a touchy subject right now, or this and that. And, um, I told her, I said, I think I'm going to start covering the Diddy case only because it involves one of my favorite artists. And I know the world can't wait to see him crash, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I don't believe until I see evidence. I'm
I
not
saw that, man.
believing.
Yo, you did a good job on all the Diddy stuff you put out there. I ain't gonna lie to you. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
you gotta go on this Spanish podcast, go on this channel. He did a
Well,
phenomenal job covering all the Diddy
it's
shit. Seriously.
it, it's like this. Michael's been in trouble. Michael Jackson has been in trouble. Prince has been in trouble. R. Kelly has been in trouble. But do we stop listening to the music? I've always separated the personal life from the music. Now,
Yeah.
Do I hear R. Kelly's songs a little different? Yeah,
Shit, I know I do.
But I mean, but we all knew, he married Aaliyah when she was what, 14, 15. So we all knew about this. You know what I mean? It's not like it
Mm-hmm,
was
mm-hmm,
really a secret. It's
mm-hmm.
just, when something starts to come out in the public open, somebody's head's got to roll. And, unfortunately, Diddy went after the wrong person and his head rolled. So if he would have
Mm.
never if he would have never fought for that liquor company and went up against the guy who owns Ciroc, none of this probably would have ever happened. Like, to be
Well,
honest. But hey, you try to think you're a big dog and you're just a small fish in a big pond.
well, bro, you did a great job on that one. I gotta ask you a question, right? How do you sit down and rate your movies? Do you do like the Rotten Tomatoes, the popcorn? Like, how do you analyze and break down what's good, what's bad, and all that shit like that? How do you go about it?
Won't I don't do reviews or I don't talk about a movie if I've never seen it. So
Okay.
everything that I talk about, whether I've seen it on streaming or, it's in my collection, because I've got about 400 movies I haven't even opened up yet and watched because of
Damn.
time constriction.
Bro.
Um, but it's a hobby, man. But I don't go by Rotten Tomatoes. I don't go by anybody else's. And if I do a review, like when I did the Enter the Dragon, everybody favorite Bruce Lee movie. When the 4K came out, I did a review on that. I watched it. I didn't watch anybody else's review, and I didn't read about any reviews until I gave my insight and did my video, which I got a lot of slack for because I didn't give it a good rating as far as the restoration. And people misconstrued that for me saying that the movie was bad. Like, come on, it's Enter the Dragon. I mean, you can't. I don't know anybody that doesn't love Enter the Dragon. My son is 13 and he loves Enter the Dragon. You know what I mean? So they were just getting misconstrued and they were like, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "You're missing the point." But it is what it is. You're always going to take criticism.
Well,
So
that's
I
what I
don't
wanted
use
to ask
any
you.
rating.
I want to ask you, man. Like, I know you get a lot of good feedback with your stuff. Do you get like negative stuff? Like when you get negative feedback, like do you handle that by case basis or something like that? How do you handle that?
Um, it really all depends. If it's coming from a friend or somebody who actually cares, then I take the criticism very seriously. As far as YouTube, when they leave a comment, I'm just like, okay, I heart it and move on. It depends on what they say. If they say you're an idiot or you're dumb, it's like, okay. Um, there have been some hurtful ones or the ones that love to correct you for one little thing that you got
Mm,
wrong.
yes.
Like my Steven Seagal video. Um, I had said that Bruce Lee started Jeet Kune Do, and it's actually pronounced Jet Kune Do. And
Okay.
somebody, of course, in the comment said it's not Jeet Kune Do, it's Jeet Kune Do. And I'm like, okay, listen, none of my shit is scripted. I don't sit here and write out a script. It's all off the top of the head. And I'm like, and all I said was thanks for the correction. It all depends on what people say, and if they say something real negative, I just get on their nerves by clicking the heart and moving on. I don't even say nothing to them because that's what they want. They're weekend warriors or they're keyboard warriors, and they're eating Cheetos, watching my videos. By the way, I'm not watching yours, and they're criticizing me for one thing that I got wrong. So
Bruh, let me
you
tell you
just, you
something,
just,
man.
you got to take it with a grain of salt, man.
I, you know what? On this podcast I got, I get some of it, not a lot of it, but I get tons of it, right? With my partner, Mario, right? We do like we do a wrestling podcast like once a month,
Mhm.
right?
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Wrestling talk, right?
The one you talked
And
about
right, we
McMahon, real quick, my bad. The one you
go
did
ahead,
about
go ahead.
The McMahon review, that was on point, man. That was on point. But go ahead.
I appreciate you. Appreciate you. I tell you right now, man. So when we get right, we got something called the mailbag, right? We get questions from people, this and that. Not that many. Well, actually, yeah, we get more negative shit. Dude, they
Mhm.
attack us like crazy about any
Yeah,
little thing we say. Especially, and you know, wrestling's a big thing. It's big.
it
It's
is.
very big.
It is.
And right, because there's a buddy of mine, he has a podcast, so he does like UFC, MMA. He
Hmm.
gets murdered with bad comments
Oh yeah.
with that. With that.
Yeah.
So I'm telling you, man, listen, I go through it too. We all go through it. I'm glad you handle it. Now you say, right, you review all the movies that you watch, right?
Yeah.
So since you love top five, you a top five guy, right? I know there's a couple people I told people you was coming on. They're big horror movie fans. And I was asking like, yo, like give me some horror movies like I asked them. It's like it depends on what type. I'm like, man, what type? It's
Yeah.
like they
This.
gave me a list of this, and this. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
so I'm
There's.
asking
There's.
you.
All right.
I'm going to
Let's hear
ask
it.
you. I know you probably gonna say the same thing they say. Give me a top five all around horror movies.
All around. I would have to say Freddy's going to be number one to me. You know, a man that can come into your dreams. Come on. As far as horror villains and slashers, there's nothing else that can compare to that. Um, and then psychological things like Hereditary. Hereditary is one of those psychological horror thrillers that really get underneath the skin. You don't know what's going on. And then when you finally find out and you see the ending, it's just like mind blowing. I like that type of horror. I also like the funny horror, like Leprechaun. I mean,
Oh,
you know,
I like
Leprechaun in the Hood. You know, I mean, you could just take that so many different directions,
yeah.
and I like that because everybody, if you found a pot of gold, not knowing that the Leprechaun is attached to this gold, but if you find gold, people are keeping it. So, you know, for the Leprechaun to just come up and start killing people, it's just hilarious to me. Also things like Killer Clowns from Outer Space, great 80s classic, and it's only because they used practical effects. It was so much harder back then. Now they're even using CGI blood, which is absolutely ridiculous to me.
What?
Where, oh yeah, yeah, there's, you know, when they do like when they slash you with the knife and all that, it's literally like CGI blood going on the walls and everything like that.
Wow.
So the 80s horror to me is so captivating because there was so much special effects, um, and you know, really practical effects that had to be behind it. You might have got a little bit of CGI here and there, but as far as like a head being decapitated, they had to make like a dummy and you know go through the whole thing. And Chucky. You know, Chucky is probably growing up. I had a My Buddy doll. For all of y'all who don't know what a My Buddy doll is, go Google it. You'll laugh your ass off. But it's basically a replica of Chucky. So, you know, Chucky was another big one that I was actually scared of when I was a kid. So that, you know, forever stays in my heart, you know. But those are just my five right there. You know, I like that
Okay.
psychological. I like that supernatural stuff. You know, it goes all over the place. My wife's favorite genre is found footage. You know, we'll watch some of the shittiest found footage B movies, but the ending is just captivating. But it's just getting to that point. You know, you have to give me and my wife, we give it the half an hour rule. If we ain't attached to it in a half an hour, probably not going to work out. So,
You know what? I'm glad you said that, 'cause that was one of my questions. A lot of people don't talk about B movies. Like, do you have like a couple of big time B movies that's nobody heard of that they should check out? Let's give us
um,
like not five. Let's give us three of them. Give me three of them.
well, I'll say right off the bat with let's go hood movies. Let's go, you know, hood movies. Uh, Blue Hill Avenue. Not a
Okay.
lot of people have heard of that movie. It is on Amazon Prime right now for free. So if you have Amazon Prime, it is a B movie that, you know, the director didn't have really a big budget, but the story and the action in it, and the real life feel. And they're in Boston, Massachusetts. Massachusetts is where I'm from. So
Gotcha.
Blue Hill Avenue is definitely one of those movies that not a lot of people heard of, but absolutely amazing. The other one, you might have heard of it, but not a lot of people know about it, is Empire. I think Empire with John Leguizamo is like one of the craziest endings that I've ever
Right.
seen in a movie. The manipulation that he goes through and everything, it's just captivating as far as a movie goes. Fat Joe's in it, got one of my favorite scenes in it. And as for Mafia, I'm gonna say Gotti from
Yeah.
1996.
Seen
It
that one.
was it was a HBO film.
Yep.
So
Seen that one.
back in the days, if you didn't have HBO, you didn't get to see it. It was
Hmm.
never aired on TV until way later on, and not a lot of people know about that Gotti movie. Please do not ever in your life watch the John Travolta one. You'll want to shoot yourself. That's all I'm gonna say. It is absolutely horrible. If you're gonna watch a Gotti movie, it's free on YouTube. That's the one you got to watch from 1996.
I love that one, brother. I love that one. Thanks for giving me the all around horror movies because I didn't know they got technical about the shit.
Oh yeah,
This.
there's a
And
lot of different subgenres when it
eh,
comes to horror.
I understand that one. I'm gonna ask you something that I like. Okay. I assume you watch Marvel and DC movies, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
This shelf is Marvel. The shelf underneath it is DC.
Okay. I would like your opinion on what is your top five combined Marvel DC.
All right. Guardians of the Galaxy.
Which one?
Um, the first one. I
Okay.
do love part two and part three. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
They're great. I think James Gunn is a wonderful director, and I think he is going to take the DC universe to heights that we have not seen. And hopefully, Warner Brothers doesn't get in his way like they did with Zack Snyder. Um, Number two being the Zack Snyder Batman vs Superman and the Justice League Snyder cut. Yes, one is 3.5 hours long, the other one's almost 4 hours long, but it makes so much more sense. The movie is just so much better, and I absolutely love those ones from DC. Um, the other one is Iron Man. Let's face it, that's where it all kicked off when what really got the Marvel ball rolling. I mean, we had other Marvel movies back in the days. They tried, they failed. And then Iron Man, and I think it really had a lot to do with Robert Downey Jr. It just kicked off the entire thing. And last but not least, I get a lot of slack for this one because, again, I am a DC guy more than I am a Marvel guy. I love Suicide Squad with Will Smith. Um, Reason being, and I do, David Ayer, the director, again, Warner Brothers got in the way of what he wanted to do. So the movie that you actually see is only about 30% of what the original script really was. This story was supposed to go in a totally different direction. It was
Really?
supposed to be mainly based on Joker. And I'm actually, next Sunday, I'm dropping a video about how Jared Leto was really like X'd out of his Joker role, which I love his Joker. I get a lot of slack for that. Was he better than Heath Ledger? No way. Was he better than Jack Nicholson? No way. But is he better than Joaquin Phoenix? Hell yeah. That's all I'm gonna say. I think he was really cheated on that role though. So I explain in the video because I'm in the middle of editing that one too that Jared Leto never had a chance. They recorded 40 hours of that film, and then the 2.5 hour cut is what you get, and that's not even what the original script or movie was really supposed to be about. But
Wow.
Warner
So
Brothers
me
got
ask
in
you
the way.
something. Who's your top Joker?
My top.
Yeah.
If I'm going off my childhood,
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson. But if we want to get down to brass tactics, the one who was the most insane and the one that literally just took everything to new heights and I never thought he could do it is Heath Ledger.
Oh God, he
Um,
killed.
yeah,
He killed everyone.
I remember when he was announced for it and I was like, dude from Brokeback Mountain? What? And then the performance is just mind blowing. He's
Oh
another
yeah.
method actor, and I love that about him is that he literally locked himself in a hotel room until the movie was,
Oh
or
yeah.
until he passed away. But he was
Absolutely.
such a method actor. He was sitting in the darkness in his own hotel room, just going crazy to himself to play this Joker. And I absolutely loved it. I thought it was captivating, but my third favorite would be Jared Leto. I wish they would have let him actually spread his wings in this movie, but Warner Brothers trying to, compete with Marvel, it's not going to happen. Marvel, they were just too big.
All
They had to
right,
jump start.
sir. I'm going to name you 5 movies.
Hmm.
I'm hoping you've seen them all. Hopefully, now. They say
If I
these
haven't,
5 movies are the best. What top 5 out of 100 movies of all time?
mhm.
Okay. I'm gonna ask you, do you agree that these 5 should be in the top 25 of all time?
Okay.
Hopefully you've seen them. Number 5 is Goodfellas.
Oh hell yeah.
Should be in the top 25?
Oh hell yeah.
Why?
That is probably mm, Martin Scorsese's best work. I mean, when you think about how the mafia really operated, that is the closest you are going to get to how the mafia operated because they are the biggest, secret family. So I think that definitely deserves to be in the top 25. Yeah.
Okay. Another one, which I think it should be. I don't know if you've seen it. 12 Years a Slave.
Oh yeah. I can never pronounce her name.
I can't pronounce it either.
Yeah,
I
okay.
know what you're talking about.
But
I know what you're talking about.
yeah, she did a wonderful performance. She definitely deserved the Oscar that she got for that. But yeah, that definitely should be. I mean, anybody who says that 12 Years a Slave isn't, better than Roots. I mean, I know we grew up on Roots, but it ain't better. 12 Years a Slave is an amazing movie.
Okay. They didn't have Roots in the top 25.
Oh yeah, that's somewhere in like the top 75 or something like
Yeah,
that.
it's like the
That's
bottom half.
yeah, man. It's the bottom of the bottom. Yeah.
All right. How about The Thing, 1982?
No. People as far as like a horror movie, they kind of really put that movie high up on the list. I don't. The Thing was good, don't get me wrong, but I'd rather watch Spaceballs if you
Oh,
really want to be
shit.
honest.
Okay. This movie came out in 2011. This is a woman's favorite. Women love this movie. They cracked up laughing like crazy. Bridesmaids.
Oh, that's actually one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Okay.
Yes, that should be in the top 25.
Okay. And this one, I should know about this because I've seen it and heard. That's all I hear about back in Philly. It's fucking Rocky. The original Rocky.
No, I like the movies. Personally, to me, I still think the best one is Rocky 3, but I grew up on Mr. T. I loved Mr. T. Everybody puts part 4 as their favorite one, like everybody that you talk to. I get it, Dolph London, he was huge back then. But as far as an actual great movie storyline, Rocky 3 beats them all. Plain and
Okay.
simple. Because as a beginning boxer, you are going to be that cocky. You are going to be that arrogant. You are going to say, hey, woman, when you want a real man, come and see me. You're going to say things like that.
Ha! Ha!
You gotta
That,
remember that.
That leads me to I want you to rate my top five. Number five, for me, you just said it, Rocky 3.
I can't argue with that. That's my favorite one. Again, way better than all the other ones. Like I said, give me a better storyline. I don't like what they did in four because they were trying to quote unquote show the peace for this and that, and we shouldn't have a war. That didn't the movie didn't do anything for me. But Mr. T, he did everything for me.
Oh man, that made the whole Rocky franchise.
Yeah,
Now, my number four, it's a little controversial because you and I got into this before, and you ain't like it. I don't know
I
why,
know
but I
where you're
want you to
going.
explain
I
to
know
me
where you're going.
again. How was this not one of the best movies of all time, ladies and gentlemen? It is Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee. Can you explain to my audience why you hate Do the Right Thing?
It's not that I hate it. It's just that
That's not what you said.
okay, all right. I own it. Listen, the thing that bothers me, the thing that really bothered me about that movie is making, me being half black, it's making our culture look more ignorant than we really are. If
Okay.
you really think about it, it was his diner. It was his restaurant. He doesn't have to put anybody up on the wall that he doesn't want to put up there. He had who he liked, his greats. If you go into my living room, me and my wife have our favorite pictures hanging up. I've got Batman, I've got Michael Myers, I've got Freddy, I've got Marilyn Monroe up there for my wife. We got Joan Jett. Like, we are going to put up what we love. If you came into my house and was like, yo, how come you ain't got New Jack City up there? Because it ain't my flavor. You know what I'm saying? And then if you're going to start, then, it's going to lead to a riot.
I ain't
So
like New
I
Jack City
feel,
anyway.
yeah, yeah, I still think that, his better movies were down the line. I still put King of New York on top of
Oh shit.
New Jack City. Way better. And Wesley Snipes being a cop is where he needed to be. Anyways, so that's just the reason why I don't like it. I think it really showed a side of our ignorance that Spike Lee really shouldn't have shown. Same with, oh, you stepped on my Jordans, like, and that's real life. That shit really happens.
Yeah.
So I just didn't like the portrayal that, again,
Okay.
that he showed our culture. And I really feel that he could have took it a little bit different in a different direction. And then him showing the white cops beating down, at the end. Listen, that doesn't happen all the time. Granted, you are always going to have somebody corrupt in any business, corporation,
Oh god.
anything like that. You're going to have all that.
Yes,
But
sir.
there are nice cops out there. There
That's
are
true.
nice FBI. You know what I mean? So to me, him showing only the whites doing it, let's face it, there are black cops that do the same thing to
Oh
black
shit.
people.
Hell yeah,
It's
man.
just,
Karis one,
it,
Black Cop.
yeah, but it's because that is not going to get the media coverage that they need. So what do? They always do the white on black or the black on white because that is what is going to keep the media alive.
Yes, sir.
So
And I appreciate you telling me that. My number three, I don't know if you've seen this or not, is King Arthur. It's a Clive Owen version.
I've not seen that one. I thought you were talking about the cartoon. I was like, wait, what?
No,
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 never
no,
seen
no.
that one.
That
So
is one of the best movies you can ever watch in your life. Seriously.
all right, I'll have to
But
check that out.
all right. My number two, this is an old one. It's Harrison Ford. Is Regarding Henry.
I seen that one. I remember it vaguely. So I can't argue if you want it in your top five. I remember a little bit of that movie. It's been a
Okay.
long time since I've seen that.
Number one is my movie number one. And they say, according to all the Hollywood people, number one movie of all time. It's Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, I can't argue with that. So that's yours.
Yep.
My favorite, and I think it is the definition of the perfect movie, if you
Yeah.
remove 15 seconds of this movie, it's gonna throw it off in the slightest but most important way, and
Right.
that's Shawshank Redemption. I think Shawshank Redemption is the best movie ever made.
A lot of
But
people say
that's
that.
yeah, and it's
A
only
lot of people say
because
that.
the direction, the showing of friendship. I mean, it just has everything. It's got the drama. It's got a little bit of action. I mean, it's more of a story. It's not a blood guts, type of thing, but it's just the perfect movie. The way it was filmed, the photography, the narration. I mean, I, if I could, I would have Morgan Freeman sing to me at night so I can go to sleep. You know what I mean? His voice
I
is
got
just
you.
way beyond anything. If he could narrate my life as I walk around, I would let him do it.
All
This is
right.
Nick. This is Nick walking to his car.
Nick,
So
Nick, give me a quick version of your top five black cinema movies, 80s and 90s.
80s and 90s. All right. Last Dragon. That's up there for my black cinema. Uh, I would have to say Sugar Hill.
Oh, yeah.
I love Sugar Hill. Uh, 80s and 90s. Damn, you
Ah,
put me on the spot there.
yeah.
I got to really think back. Um, Jesus. Yeah, you put me on the spot there. There's a lot, but I can't
you,
can't think
you,
of it
you,
off the top of my
man, you
head.
gotta put one in. You gotta put Menace to Society in.
Oh, okay, there you go. Menace to Society, Boys in the Hood. I do
Okay.
love Boys in the Hood, but I do put Menace to Society before that.
Okay.
Set It Off. That's
Oh,
another
yeah.
one that comes right to me. Just Queen Latifah's, but her performance in that movie, that makes the movie. She's better than all of them put together.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, Set It Off was that shit, boy. The way they came up in the bank with the masks on and everything. I mean,
Okay.
nobody would expect women to do that. It's always like the men that are going in and robbing the bank. Dog Day Afternoon. All those movies, they don't involve women robbing the bank. It's
That's
always the
true.
men.
All right.
So Set It Off really set a benchmark for 90s. And I know it's not it's a white director, but to me, as black cinema, is Bad
Yeah.
Boys.
Okay. All right. I
I
got you.
love Will Smith and
I
Martin
well,
Lawrence,
I
man.
mean, I, I'm not a fan of that, but if you had to choose, you had to pick one or the other. You got Set Off in the left hand, and you got this one right here on the right hand. You got to pick which one, and this one has Dead Presidents.
Oh, I forgot about Dead Presidents all day.
Which one, left or right? Set Off
Dead
left, Dead
Presidents,
Presidents right. Dead
right?
Presidents?
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Man, the performance, that's when I learned that Chris Tucker was more than a comedian, is because of that movie. His portrayal as a heroin addict was absolutely amazing. Um, and then the way that I forgot Homegirl's name right off the top of my head, but her involvement in the bank robbery, hilarious. And another black comedy, don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the
Oh
hood.
my God.
Um, when it comes to the Wayans brothers, I think that they have put together some of the greatest black cinema comedies known to man. I mean, if it wasn't for A Living Color, you would have no Chappelle Show. You wouldn't have Key and Peele. You wouldn't have Jim Carrey. Okay, you wouldn't have David Allen Greer. You wouldn't have none of those movies. Meteor Man, Blank Man. None of those come without the Wayans brothers' involvement.
Okay.
So the Wayans brothers is definitely a staple in, black film. I absolutely love them. I got a lot of their movies. More money, more problems.
Mm, sir, I got three more for you. I need a quick version. If well, not really quick, but like just name them. Your top five of the all-time action films.
Action. For me, okay, because this always goes back to my childhood. Action. I'm gonna do RoboCop, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie. Uh, what's that one called? More of a martial arts, but it is action. It's Bloodsport. That's one of my favorites there.
That's all right.
Um, come on, man.
That's
Uh,
all right.
man, action. This there's so many damn God damn it. You caught me off guard. I like these ones, man. You really caught me off guard. You
That's
just
what we
got me at a
do.
standstill. I see that. You got me at a standstill. Oh my God.
I love it. I love it.
Oh, I know a lot of people didn't like it, but uh, Heat. I love Heat.
Yeah,
Um,
I like that one too. It was too long though, but I liked it.
yeah, but I love the storyline and it keeps me hanging with the storyline. I like a good
Yeah.
story. Um, and then at, again with the martial arts, I Ip Man is probably one of my favorites. John Wicks right now are killing it.
Oof. Oof.
Um,
Oof.
Equalizer.
Oof.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Oof.
Denzel Washington is still doing his thing in the Equalizer. I love it.
All right. Well, I'm gonna ask you two more, and that's gonna be it. But I'm gonna do mine first before I do you. And then you can take your time on whatever you want to do. You can take your time on your top five or overall. Top
Mhm.
five overall. So you can think about it now. Get in your brain now, so I don't got to surprise
All
you
right.
later on.
Okay.
I want to know if you now. How about TV series? Do you rate those? You seen a lot of TV series?
Um. Yeah, I own a lot as well. The mostly
Okay, but I
cartoons.
want you to rate mine. I want you to tell me if you've seen them, if they good or not good.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Hmm.
Boardwalk Empire.
That's good.
That's good.
It's all right. Yeah, that's good.
Wow, he just said it was all right.
Yeah, it's all right. It ain't
Oh
The
my god!
Sopranos, but it's all right.
Wow. Well, but we'll get into Sopranos another time because I got some shit. It'll take me too long to break that shit down because I hate this shit.
Yeah,
Anyway, but House of Cards.
that's a good one. What's his name? Black dude.
Uh, Kevin Spacey.
No. Yeah, that is the one. I'm thinking. You know what I'm thinking of? House of Lies. My bad.
Yeah.
House of Cards. Yeah. Kevin Spacey. Yeah, which it's a shame what they did to Kevin Spacey, but yeah.
I mean, but he fucked himself up. He fucked his own self.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, just to kind of discredit him from all the wonderful
Yeah,
movies that he's made.
yeah. It you might like this. I don't know if you remember this or not. Since you was born in the '80s, but you're a '90s guy, you might not remember this. I was a big What's Happening guy. What's
That one
happening?
I
Hey,
never
hey, hey,
watched.
Dwayne Wayne.
Nope. I
See,
never
ladies and
watched
gentlemen,
that
he's
one.
young. He's young, ladies and gentlemen. He's young.
Yeah. That's I'm only, I'm in the 40s, but
Yeah.
I don't remember
I think
that
I
one.
ain't that much older than you, but anyway. But
I know.
MASH.
I hated MASH.
Oh God.
I That's when I knew it was bedtime because the shit would put me to sleep. Hey man, you want my honest opinion? Is what it is, baby. And I remember that stupid theme song coming on, the and I was just like, and I was out.
All right, my number one TV series of all time, and rumor has it is coming back for a final run. Is 24.
My dad was a huge 24 fan. The only thing I couldn't get into with that is that every episode was literally just a 24-hour period.
I love it.
So yeah, a lot of it, or was it the whole season? I don't remember if it was the entire season or just the one
Yes,
episode. The
each
entire season.
episode was an hour.
Okay, yeah, there you go. My dad was heavy on it. I didn't watch the entire thing, but the episodes that I did watch were really fantastic, thrill riding. But again, I can't argue anybody's top five. It's always everybody's opinion. But
Man, you make me feel real fucking old right now, bro.
Mash, put me to sleep, baby. I can't. I just can't do it.
Oh my God. Have you thought about your top ultimate five? Your top ultimate five. Let the audience know what is your top ultimate five. It could be all around. Something that you love and maybe people can check out maybe on your channel or not your channel, but how way you reviewed it. Or maybe they haven't seen
T-
it yet. What's your top five?
TV or movies?
What's their movies? Movies.
Okay. Um, Top five: Casino, Carlito's Way, uh, again, Bloodsport. I know, but I grew up on it. Batman '89, and
Mm,
it's got to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990, and it just because it hits hard.
mm,
And then Carlito's Way being my favorite gangster movie of all time.
Batman '89. That was Michael Keaton, right?
Michael Keaton, Prince did the soundtrack. Jack Nicholson was the Joker. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah, 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 yeah. I remember that night too. I just graduated high school. Opening night, opening night, I never forget it. On Friday night, it came out. Man, I couldn't even get I couldn't get through 5 minutes of it.
really.
There's a shooting in the movie theater. After 5 minutes, man, opening night, 1989. I never forget that. I never forget that movie. Sir, I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna play a little game with you before we go.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask you 5 questions, sir. You ready?
Shoot, I'm
All
open to
right.
anything.
I can't ask you anything.
Well,
What?
one day go ahead. Go ahead. My bad.
Go-
My bad. Go ahead.
What's a hidden talent no one knows about you?
A hidden talent, and I won't do it for, now, but rapping, poetry.
Really?
Yeah.
Right?
I When I first started rapping, I actually did an audition for making the band. I actually performed in front of Puff Daddy. No, I didn't
Really?
have to do anything. But I didn't get picked, obviously, because I wasn't on the MTV show. But I'm glad I wasn't, because I wouldn't have walked to
Yeah.
Brooklyn for a cheesecake.
Yeah, pretty much.
Um,
But that's
yeah,
actually cool, man. I like that.
yeah, I was really, even though Jay-Z's my favorite rapper, my style was nothing like Jay-Z. It was more like Nas. I like to speak poetry, what I grew up in, what I seen in the streets. So before I got with my group, a lot of my music was just poetry in motion.
Okay, okay. Number two. What's the best advice you've ever gotten?
The best advice as an adult was, if you were having marriage problems, never ask a couple that's going through a divorce or they can't stand each other.
Oh my God. Bro, yes. Trust me. I've
That's
been through that.
probably, yeah.
Yeah, I've been through that shit and trust me. Trust me. All right. What moment in your life would you want to experience one more time?
This is gonna sound so cliche, but again, my second love has always been cars. I really want my 1988 Toyota Celica Turbo All-Track back. I miss every feeling of that car. I was one with that car. And when you drive a manual, it's an entirely different feeling. You can have the fastest automatic in the world, but there's nothing like shifting gears and just feeling every single punch when you shift gears. And I miss my Celica with a passion. If you guys don't know what an 88 Celica looks like, look it up on Google. I would literally trade my Lexus right now for a decent one, not even a mint condition. I'd give my Lexus up in a heartbeat. See you later. Go bye bye.
I
And I
love
would take
that.
that 88 Celica.
I love it. If you could learn one skill instantly, what would it be?
Um, one skill instantly,
Yep.
martial arts. Martial arts. I've always had an obsession for uh martial arts growing up. My father did it. Well, my stepfather, he raised me, but Uh, he did ninjutsu and he also did kung fu. And when I used to watch him practice in the backyard, it was something that I really couldn't explain. It was just like mesmerizing. I was always thinking my dad could beat up, Bruce Lee and Jean-Claude Van Damme. And I remember being a kid and being like, my dad could beat your dad's ass. So it was like kind of one of, you remember that in school, man.
Yeah.
But, for me, martial arts was always just a way to keep your calm. A buddy of mine did do it. I did it for about a year, and I just my unfortunately my mom put me in taekwondo, and I thought that shit was corny. And she couldn't afford to put me through the kung fu classes, so I just never pursued it after that. But if I could learn and know it instantly, it would be jujitsu.
Okay. If you could ask your future self, you could ask Nick 5 years from now, one question, only one. What would you ask that future Nick?
Am I still with my soulmate?
I love that.
I really believe that I am with my soulmate. I still envision us, on the porch in a rocking chair. She's sipping wine, I'm sipping something hard, and just enjoying life. We've had a rough go, not as far as our marriage, but I mean, like, just life in general, things
Yeah.
that get thrown at you, hurdles. So, we've stuck by each other. And even if it's just 2 years from now, I want to make sure that she's still there. So I would ask my future self, is she still alive? Is she still there? Are we still together? Because that's probably the most important thing to me.
All right. Sir, I give everybody the last word. I'm gonna give you the last word. Tell everybody about your podcast, why they should watch it. Give a more description to it, more than I did, to people who can gravitate towards your channel, and where can they watch it and subscribe to?
Well, you can
Much
watch
time
us.
as you want.
You can subscribe to YouTube. I'm also on TikTok, but I only use that to promote the YouTube. So YouTube channel is mainly where you can reach me, subscribe. Movie AV Impulse. The biggest thing I do, obviously, is movies, but it's not just movie reviews and boring things. I like to talk about movies I want to see get a restoration, movies I want to see with better surround sound, movies that really move me and entice me. I do top fives all the time, as you said, Lou. Um, it's just really a different type of thing. I made a video about how much I love freestyle music. A lot of people don't even know what freestyle music is because it's no longer a popular thing. But music is another great passion. It's just music makes you feel good when you're feeling sad. You could throw on your favorite song and just kind of vibe out. And I love that about music. That's why, depending on the circumstances, I don't think I could ever give up on hip hop or R&B or any of that, especially the old school stuff when it really meant something. Nowadays, R&B is totally different than what it was when I was growing up. Um, you know, it's just if you want to have fun, sometimes I get controversial. I'm not going to lie. I'm always going to give my honest and only opinion. Uh, and I always tell people all the time, you are entitled to your opinion. And if we can have an adult conversation about it, I have no problem, going back and forth with somebody. Like I said, I hate Lord of the Rings. I can't stand any of those movies. I don't like Avatar. And I don't like Friday the 13th. Those three franchises I don't like, and I get criticized and I get shit for it all the time, but it's just my opinion. You can love whatever you want to love. Maybe you don't like the Halloween franchise. I do. So, if you could talk about it and be an adult about it, then I'll interact. But if you're gonna be, like you said, trying to, avoid the negativity. I'm just gonna heart you and keep it moving. Also, I will have Lou on the channel in the future. Probably talk about some top five. Uh, you know, I'm gonna start going live because I really like the whole live concept where people can ask me questions. I'm open to anything except for real deep personal. Don't ask me about you know naughty things. That's all I can really say. Anything else, advice, life stuff, marriage stuff, I can only give the best advice that I know. Just like if I ask Lou a question at work, he gives me the best advice that he knows, and whether I take it or not is up to me. So if you want to have fun, hang out, and I've been diving more into like the back history of certain actors or the back history of movies. I got one coming up on American Me. I've got one coming up on Jared Leto. I just did the Steven Seagal one that was incredibly fun to do because that is the biggest liar in Hollywood. So it's just a fun stuff that I like to do, and hopefully you enjoy it.
Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. He just described everything. Nick has been great. He's been a great guest. He's a good buddy of mine, good friend. Yes, he is opinionated. He will tell you how way it is. that's just how way it is. And he knows me. I'm gonna say the same shit back. So,
Yeah, well, we got into that little thing, and but we were adults about it. It doesn't
hey,
have to get to the point where I need to hate you because you like do the right thing. It's everybody's opinion. People will say that Carlito's Way is one of the worst gangster movies, and I put it as my top
I
because
actually
I
agree. But I
love it.
think it is one of the worst ones. But anyway, that's besides the point. Anyway,
Yeah. It's all
ladies
good.
and gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for being here today. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, give a comment. If you're listening to us on Apple and Spotify, give a rating, give a subscription, give a like. Nick, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on. I
Also,
mean, these little
also
collaborations,
real
but go
quick.
ahead.
Also, real quick, man, the one you dropped yesterday on food waste, that was mind blowing, incredible. Nor did I know. I thought we were number one, and
Nope,
we're not. So
nope.
you guys should go check that out. Go take a listen. It's only 36 minutes long. Wonderful, wonderful. I really liked that one yesterday, man. Appreciated that.
I
That was
appreciate
crazy.
I appreciate you right back, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, we will see you next week on Let's Talk About It. Peace. Thank you for watching the show. Please like, subscribe, comment. Stay tuned next week for another exciting episode on Let's Talk About It.